All the world has fallen to Kyros, and now the Overlord's eye is on the Tears, our home. The last corner of the world free of Kyros' reign. Two armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, march south from the Northern Empire, the last realm to fall to Kyros a century prior. In the early days of 428, Kyros' armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we Tearsmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the Tears sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors, until it's too late.
During the conquest, you will decide your character's actions during the Kyros' invasion of the Tears, shaping the world through which you will adventure over the course of the game. Each choice you make will affect your characters and how the major factions of the Tears respond to you. Your decisions matter. Choose wisely. 428. Year 1 of Kyros' conquest. Oh, that's cool. The Bastard City. The Bastard City stood as the northern border between Kyros' empire and the Tears, built upon a natural harbour at the crossroads between realms. The city was a nexus of commerce. To the Tears, it was the centre of all wealth. To a northerner, it was little more than a backwater trading post. Its symbolic status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target in the Kyros' military conquest. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kyros' army. Taking the city would send a message to the rest of the Tears. Kyros. Kyros' will is insurmountable. Select a token on the map to begin. So, infiltrate the Tears. Both armies sent their forces to prepare the way. When the first major engagements of the war, Kyros' armies crossed the mountains and established a foothold. It was across the mountains. The armies of Kyros took the battle to the Gates of Judgment, trumpeting the opening call of the conquest of the Tears. The two armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, brought their distinctive sense of order and chaos to the assault. You went to battle alongside the army whose approach best suited your strengths. I would definitely Disfavored. So the Disfavored are order. Scarlet Chorus are chaos, I think. Disfavored, disciplined and battle-hardened. The Disfavored are an elite legion in the Kyros' army. They spearheaded the conquest of the younger realms, finding themselves always outnumbered but never outclassed. Led by the steadfast and dutiful Graven Ash, whom they follow with obsessive devotion, they are committed to imposing their interpretation of order upon the Scarlet Chorus. Scarlet Chorus is a little more than a gang of thugs and their captive slaves. Yeah, we're not thugs. We're the elite. Standing shield to shield with Kyros' ironclad elite, you advanced on the mercenary army, purchased by the nobles of the Bastard City. The Legion wanted to send a message to the Tears that superior breeding and disciplined training would win the day. The Bastard City learned too late that a military is earned, but never bought. The mercenary army quickly found themselves outclassed by the superior tactics and formation of the Disfavored. Those few who lived to the end of the battle were rounded up, the weak executed, and the strong enslaved to haul the army's wagons to the journey south. Alright, next up, we have the choice between: to judge the enemy, you decided the fate of the enemy soldiers captured in battle. Or feeding the host, you found a way to feed Kyros' armies in enemy territory. No, we're justice. To judge the enemy, the soldiers of the Tears fell by the hundreds, and Kyros' armies could not agree on how to handle what a few survivors they dragged back to camp. Befitting your role, the commanders turned to you to decide the fate of those who occupied the prisoner pens. There were only enough prisoners to support the plan of a single army. So we can either enslave them. The Disfavored needed slaves to haul their gear, dig latrines, and keep their pallets warm at night. You can assign the survivors of the battle to their subservient role amongst the Graven Ash's noble troops. We gave the prisoners the chance to serve in Kyros' army, or die. The Scarlet Chorus was in need of extra troops to fill up the vanguard, and your foreign enemies would occupy those slots nicely. I don't really believe in servitude. I think that the enemy need to have the opportunity to show their worth under Kyros' rule. So I think this time we're actually going to go with the Scarlet Chorus. That is how their armies are made up, after all. And if it comes down to it, the Disfavored can always get the Scarlet Chorus to carry their stuff for them. So yeah, I'm going Scarlet Chorus this time. You armed cooperative ex-soldiers with scrap weapons and tossed them into the vanguard of the next Kyros assault. Those who survived were welcome to take up arms in the armour of the fallen and echo out a desperate struggle to survive in Kyros' military. After their first victory, you awarded the new recruits with the opportunity to execute their wounded or reluctant countrymen. See, I'm a nice guy like that. Wasn't Kyros king of Mesopotamia? He might have been, I'm not sure. The armies of Kyros amassed around the bastard city, the first bastion of the Tiers to fall. Both armies longed to storm the walled outpost, the Scarlet Chorus howling for plunder, and the Disfavoured forming an unbreakable shield wall. Your prowess on the field of battle had carried them this far, but there was one more step before total victory. Both of the armies had inspired schemes to take the bastard city. Which did you support? So we have the assault on the main gates. You joined the disfavoured vanguard in a direct assault upon the main gates. No fortification would stand before the unstoppable legion. And this gets us the warrior's respite, which we can use once per encounter. That's like once per battle. Reduces damage to self for 12 seconds, increases our health. Stand your ground in the face of defeat. During this time you will regenerate health rapidly, but your damage is significantly reduced. That sounds rather good for our character. You join the Scarlet Chorus in setting fire to the city and blocking the gates. The defenders would surrender or burn. Mage Fire Affliction for 9 seconds. I know I like fire, but it doesn't really sound like what my character would do. You led a mixed band of disfavoured and Scarlet Chorus scouts over the city walls to sabotage its defences. No, we're not hiding. We're going to take the Warrior's Respite. We joined the disfavoured vanguard in a direct assault upon the city gates. Their fortification would stand before the unstoppable legion. With heroic courage and legendary determination, the disfavoured battered the gates of the bastard city to splinters. Those who fell under the consistent hail of arrows or cascades of boiling pitch left the battlefield temporarily, only to appear hours later as Archon Graven Ash's protection healed their numerous wounds. In time, the gates gave way, and Kyros' forces spilled inside the city walls with resounding cheers of victory. Crushed. Welcome to the Empire. Yeah, that was Cyrus, not Kyros. The bastard city settled into a new state of normalcy. With every tower displaying Kyros' banner, your name was whispered alongside the rumours of decorated career to come. The armies divided into 2 fronts and migrated south. Tunon sent word that you were to join the next frontier of Kyros' conquests, either as a judge and overseer of the settlement of Lethian's Crossing, or as a war advisor with the armies advancing into the realm of the Apex. You may choose one of these locations. A judge and overseer of the settlement. I think that's what we'll probably be, as a judge and overseer. The troops of the mountain realm of the Apex stood idle in the safety of their valley, biding the time as their neighbours of the bastard tier fell. In the second year of the war, a joint force of disfavoured and Scarlet Chorus crossed over the mountains to take control of the tier's central valley. Deposits of iron made the settlement of Lethian's Crossing a strategic war asset. Kyros sent the forge-bound smith mages of exceptional skill to establish a flow of weaponry. Tunon the Adjudicator sent one of his faint-binders to ensure the enforcement of Kyros' law. So yeah, Sir Joshua the Great, thanks for joining us. Yeah, I think we're going to go to Lethian's Crossing. Year 2 of Kyros' conquest. I do like that. Years ago, Lethian the Bold founded a small merchant town at an intersection of ancient old walls. A pact between the settlers and a mercenary company meant that the caravans were able to travel without fear of bandits or bane, and the town thrived in modest insignificance. Lethian's Crossing drew Kyros' attention for the iron deposits in the surrounding hills. With the region under Kyros' rule, the northern smith mages could set up workshops to refine ore and arm the disfavoured with the finest weapons of the known world. The Archon of Secrets dismantled the mercenary support with a generous bribe, taking the crossing in a bloodless victory. Tunon dispatched you to travel alongside Kyros' forces to bring order to the region. So we have the iron must flow. You found a clever solution to improve production of the iron weapons and armour. Or the Archon of Song's power ensnared the mind of a disfavoured soldier. No. We're going to do on the production. Kyros' smith mages worked day and night to create weapons. No one faulted their dedication, yet production was slow. was low. The plans that came to light proved divisive in the disfavoured and Scarlet Chorus. On one hand, any additional manpower was needed for fighters, not forgers. On the other hand, the celebrated weapon of Kyros' armies needed to be fiercely guarded. Draw from the Scarlet Chorus recruits, or conscripted tribe of beastmen. Well, we did say that the members of the Scarlet Chorus that we had just pressed into the vanguard could then be used behind the lines for logistics. And that's precisely what we're doing here, so we're going to draw upon the recruits. The Scarlet Chorus took refugees from the recent influx and forced them to serve in Kyros' military. You repurposed these individuals to haul wagons of iron for the smith mages. This proved an inconvenience to the Scarlet Chorus, who relied on their force of numbers to be effective in the field. Siren is a companion. Where was Siren? Well, I'm still doing this because this is precisely what I was saying I was going to do previously. The population of Lethen's Crossing had swelled from the emptying of land destroyed by Kyros' armies. Although the Scarlet Chorus fought to keep the refugees under control, the need for production could not wait. The new recruits were reassigned to haul iron ore from the treacherous mineshafts, labour more befitting slaves than Kyros' artisans. Though the disfavoured grew strong with the advantage of more weapons, the Scarlet Chorus diminished as their ranks found themselves with one less opportunity for growth. Pick of the armoury. As the forges improved production, both armies demanded preferential treatment. Tensions rose as disfavoured and Scarlet Chorus soldiers rubbed elbows with mercenaries hired to guard the forges. I think we're going to do the Guardian's due. Again, this is more legal stuff. This is just administration. We're not an administrator or a judge. Kyros' armies used Lethen's Crossing as a reprieve from the war. The city grew more crowded as mercenary army hired by the Archon of Secrets occupied the barracks, where they drained resources and escalated tensions. The disfavoured wanted nothing to do with the sellswords, but the Scarlet Chorus sought to invite them into the fold. So we can segregate the mercenaries, or challenge their worth. We're challenging their worth. In the same way as we did for the citizens of the Bastard Town, we're going to do the same here. You let the Scarlet Chorus and the mercenaries engage in combat games and challenges, and allowed the laws against revelry and merriment to go unenforced. Wait, what? Those who won the contest took a greater share of the provisions, and sellswords and merit were invited to join Kyros' army. Disfavoured demanded that the mercenaries be kept far from Kyros' armies. The righteous occupiers would not deign to share the provisions or supplies with the degenerate sellswords. He built a separate barracks and a mess hall in order to keep the sellswords out of the army's way, and enacted strict laws against the disorderly conduct. This is actually a tougher question. This is going for the strict observance of laws, or the loosening of laws in order to meet the spirit of the law, which would be to increase Kyros' reign and power. No, I think we're going to go with the order here, actually. Although I don't particularly like the idea of segregation. But this does increase the army. Tactical shock is back with milk. Lovely. I think for this one we're going to work for the greater good. We'll let them engage in combat games and challenges. Because there's no actual law about segregation, this is just the disfavoured being arses. No, we're going with Scarlet Chorus. The games proved an excellent opportunity to relieve tension, settle disputes, and guarantee future cooperation between the two forces. Any grievances were resolved by ritual combat. Messier than your adjudication, but arguably more entertaining for those outside of the arena. The mercenaries, who proved themselves worthy opponents, found reward in joining the ranks of the Scarlet Chorus, where many of them carved out positions among the elite fighters. Controlled the crossing. Tragedy struck when a mercenary hired by the Voices of Nerat injured a forge-bound artisan, leaving him unable to practice his craft. Tunon ordered the mercenaries to leave the city in the hands of Kyros' more responsible servants. Only a Tarracan garrison would be left behind while the armies returned to the front. As the disfavoured and Scarlet Chorus showed an increasing tension and hostility to each other, Tunon decreed it best that there only be one force to control the crossing. That wasn't the chorus being arses, that was the disfavoured being arses. You granted control of the Lethians crossing to the disfavored or to the Scarlet Chorus. Scarlet Chorus are still... I mean, the whole reason we did the mercenary thing is because we wanted them in the war. So we're going to grant controlling to the disfavored. Plus, this is all about getting arms and armor for the disfavored. So who better to control the means of production than the guys who are actually going to be using it. So this is absolutely disfavored. The disfavored placed a modest garrison in the settlement of Lethian's Crossing. Though the force was larger than might be needed to police the small settlement, protecting the forge-bound ironsmiths became the true agenda of the defence force, as those magical craftsmen kept the disfavored invasion force suited in iron. Relieved at the departure of the Scarlet Chorus, the citizens of Lethian's Crossing felt they got the least of the two burdens. You received word from the Graven Ash thanking you for your decision. The forge-bound and their weaponry could not be entrusted to the voices of Narat. Yes, we are seizing the means of production. My true agenda shines through. With the mercenaries expelled and Lethian's Crossing under new leadership, Kyros' forces congratulated themselves on bringing order to the settlement and guaranteeing a productive flow of resources. Over the course of this diversion, the army front advanced further into the tiers. Your skills were needed in the realm of the Zur, Stalwart, and the Vellum Citadel. Stalwart, with its easily defended position and rich military tradition, the realm of Stalwart was the most formidable realm in the tiers. Kyros' conquering gaze fell upon the Vellum Citadel, its treasures, its knowledge, its secrets. Kyros dispatched the Archon of Stone to subjugate the nation of Azure. No, we're going for the thick skull, the easily defended position and rich military tradition. Again, because we absorb fallen militaries into our own, and if we want to enlarge the highly disciplined vanguard of Kyros' force, then we need to absorb Stalwart's forces into our own. Year 3 of Kyros' conquest. It's even got his emblem on it. Nice. The realm of Stalwart. Sorry, start again. The realm of Prussia was best known for its proud army, disciplined, courageous, and undefeated on their home soil. On their home soil? They haven't been in a proper war then. Skill and resolve made Stalwart a military power that Kyros' forces approached with due caution. With its southern position, Stalwart had been largely safe from war, watching for 2 years as its neighbours fell to Kyros' forces. On the dawn of the third year of the war, Kyros' forces were finally poised to invade the Stalwart Peninsula and subdue the tier's most vaunted army. So the options are: marching on empty. Tragedy struck when a hungry Scarlet Chorus soldiers appropriated disfavored supplies. A stinging defeat led to accusations among Kyros' armies. I'm not a general, I'm a judge, and this sounds like it needs to be judged. The Stalwart defenders burned their crops as they retreated, leaving the invaders little to forage. Starving, the Scarlet Chorus mob raided from the disfavored, well-maintained supply lines, incurring casualties on both sides. Punish the Scarlet Chorus, or order the disfavored to share supplies. Considering the disfavored are using the manpower from the Scarlet Chorus, the disfavored need to share the supplies. I mean, their stuff is being hauled by the Chorus. By your command, the disfavored shared their provisions. The thieves each lost a hand for their treachery. Yeah, that actually sounds really fair. Well done, Mordred. Scarlet Chorus commanders argued that the Horde was starving. Bringing the largest of Kyros' armies, they were also the least provisioned. The men were wrong to steal, but the disfavored were equally wrong to withhold supplies from their allies. You agreed with the Chorus version of events and ordered that the disfavored supplies be shared. The thieves themselves would be punished with the loss of a hand and returned to the front lines. Justice. The disfavored found this sickening aberration of justice and surrendered their supplies with grudging acceptance. I thought that was a really fair outcome. A new Scarlet Chorus tactic provoked disfavored rage. The beasts of Stalwart, or better dead than red. A string of mass suicides led to the Scarlet Chorus making demands of the disfavored. Can I see what's there? Yeah, I can press cancel. Rather than submit to the Scarlet Chorus conscription, conquered locals began committing suicide. Desperate to add more bodies to the Horde, the Scarlet Chorus demanded a portion of disfavored prisoners. The disfavored denied the right of recruitment, as the realm's population had taken a steep decline. Or Scarlet Chorus mages discovered a spell to turn beastmen slaves against their handlers. The army prepared to deploy the tactic elsewhere, but the disfavoured protested. The use of unsanctioned magical practices ran contrary to Kyros' law, and the beastmen were considered too erratic to be relied upon, even as shock troops. We are here to impose Kyros' will. I don't really care about the better dead than red thing. That's their problem. The generals need to sort that, so yeah, we're going with this. We can agree with the disfavoured. Ordered the beastmen slay, and the Scarlet Chorus mages who discovered the trick were ordered to never use it again on pain of execution. Improved of the... No, we're not improving the new innovation. It's against Kyros' law. Scarlet Chorus argued that their tactics were suppressed by the disfavoured rigid sense of ethics, which didn't apply to their side of the military campaign. Yes, it did. It applies to everyone. We're all here because of Kyros. You listened to these complaints with interest, wondering if they suggested some greater flaw in the conquest, but stood by a decision. The disfavoured took a more orderly approach. Kyros' peace meant nothing without order. I haven't always agreed with the disfavoured. I've gone a couple of times against them. Usually early on. Like the disfavoured wanted all the prisoners killed, the chorus didn't. I went with the chorus on that one. No, sorry, the disfavoured wanted them all to be slaves. The chorus wanted them all to be pressed into the army with the opportunity of proving their worth and then becoming a worthwhile citizen of Kyros' empire. That sounded entirely reasonable. The disfavoured carved a slow, steady path into the heart of Stalwart and surrounded the enemy's massive fortress. With the main bulk of their forces defeated, the enemy leadership retreated to their mighty fortress, content to wait out the war. The Overlord answered this impudence with an edict of storms upon the peninsula, a devastating spell that would endure for as long as the cowardly hearts of the Stalwart's leaders persisted in beating. Pleased by your efforts, Tunon deemed you the proper representative to deliver Kyros' edict. Aside from being given a 3-day window to read the edict, you received no other instructions. Kyros' most powerful magic is that of the edict, commandments cast upon whole regions that control and destroy man and nature alike. Once cast, an edict can rain fire, wither crops, demoralize cities, usher in endless night, or do whatever it is that Kyros envisioned. No known force, magical or mundane, can stop an edict. Sounds cool. Agreeing to the wishes of the disfavoured, you proclaim the edict at once, leaving the enemy no time to react. Stalwart had ample opportunity to surrender for several years. The time of mercy was gone. In an attempt to ingratiate themselves with the people of Stalwart, the Scarlet Chorus insisted that warning be sent to the towns and villages that people may prepare for the horror about to descend upon them. The whole point of going against Stalwart was to get them in our army. So, Scarlet Chorus has it right here. Kyros' wrath was intended for the cowardly regents of Stalwart, not those unfortunates swept from under the calamity of their leadership. A warning in advance of the spell would give locals time to prepare for the devastation to come. You were content to let punishment fall on the innocent as lightly as Kyros' will allows. Comforted that you might yet spare lives, you broke the seal of Kyros' edict of storms and now read the Overlord's incantation. See? Didn't go with him that time. Who's that? Eat Ash Zombie, thank you very much for the follow. And also, Tactical Shock, thank you for the follow. And I just realised I am hiding my notifications. Let's go and fix that real quick. The clear skies darkened as you read the final words of the edict. A flurry of wind and rain whipped through the rolling plains and craggy canyons, turning rocks, uprooted trees and hapless soldiers into hazardous shrapnel. Turning soldiers into shrapnel? Nice. Armed with a measure of foresight, you were able to remove yourself from the area before the storms grew more violent. Over time, nearby communities told of cyclones consisting of thousands of soldiers worth of limbs, spears, armour and skulls. What's more, the weather showed no sign of dissipating. Several units of disfavoured who fought the enemy in spite of the advancing storm were caught up in the Overlord's magic. The few survivors regrouped to nurse their wounds. Their failure to topple the Stalwart Legion shamed them into believing the dead more fortunate. The name Stalwart fell from use. People took to calling it the Blood Grave, for the remarkable landscape festooned with the iron and bronze ornaments of two once great legions. As Kyros' forces departed, you spared a glance back at the ruins of Stalwart, marvelling at your work. You don't have long to rest before Tunon called you into service once more. So that would kind of suggest that my attempt there failed. I gave them the opportunity to join Kyros' military and enforce his will, but they refused, and so justice was served. Quite rightfully so. Conquest complete. You have reached the end of Kyros' conquest. Do you want to continue, or erase your progress and start over? Continue. I'm quite happy with that. That was cool. That is the way to introduce a character to a game. It's kind of similar to the Ultima games, where you were basically given like a short mission, or not a short mission, a scenario, and then you choose your outcome, and then depending on your outcomes, that determines your class. So it's like you come across...
The year is 431, and Kyros' invasion has shattered all major opposition in the tiers. The Younger Realms, the Bastard Tier, the Free Cities. All who defied Kyros lay broken by battle, or bowed in surrender. The two armies of the Overlord, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, now control our lands.
Damn right we do.
But our will is not yet extinguished. Not entirely. In the Valley of Vendrian's Well, those of us unwilling to bow to Kyros have banded together in defiance. Violating an oath of surrender from 2 years prior, we have staged a bloody uprising, murdering the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus garrison in a midnight assault. With their main forces spread across the tiers, the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus redeploy to Vendrian's Well to crush the resistance. But months pass with no definitive battle. As disagreement and discord paralyze the Archons, we bide our time and wait for our message of insurrection to spread across the tiers. The Overlord is not amused, and Kyros has one message for the Archons: crush the Oathbreakers or die. Kyros backs this threat with an edict, a magical commandment that can slay all in the valley should the order be ignored. The honor of proclaiming this edict fell to you. Sent across the mountains to Vendrian's Well, you carry the Overlord's edict to read before the Archons. As you finally make your way through the winding mountain passes into the valley, the ground trembles, and Kyros' magic seals the way behind you. You are trapped in Vendrian's Well, with Kyros' armies and the Oathbreakers. The only way to survive is to fulfill the terms of the Overlord's edict, in any way that you can.